Good morning. Yes, and welcome to Rotary Club of Hudson, our regular Wednesday morning meeting. Today is April 16th, 2025. I know that probably sends a chill down some taxpayers' spines, but you're late. Late. Still have to file. Okay. So my name is Tom Tobin. I'm the Sergeant of Arms, and I'm happy to see all your bright smiling faces today, including our friends from the service learning class. We'll talk to them in a little bit. We do have one guest this morning, Kyle Brezovic. Kyle, would you stick your hand up? And there we go. Happy to have you here today. And by the way, Patricia and reached out to be here today. She kind of directed him this way, so we're happy. Thank you for that. All right, so let's start with the invocation with Catherine Signs.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Morning.
Please join me. God, thank you for spring and the hope of warmer, longer, brighter days. Thank you for the coming of growth, the life, and the birth. Thank you that things are coming awake in the world. This is what our calendar says, and we do see some signs that it is real. But we also still struggle with residual layover of winter. Now we ask that you bring into reality all that belongs in the season. Your word says that we will have provisions and hope and joy, health, and loving relationships here and now in this life. We ask that you vote that what belongs in the season will become actual in our practical lives. We as Rotarians ask you to help us to remember the hope of spring, the hope to help others, the hope for our community in service and deeds, to remember that there is always hope. Amen.
And Father Judge, come on up and lead us in the pledge and four-way test this morning.
Okay. Will you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. And now the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Number one. Number two. Number three. Number four.
Thank you, Father Judge. All right, and one other thing I want to bring up, I know everybody is just dazzled. Yeah, you only said that. Everyone's dazzled by this beautiful embroidered Rotary Club Hudson shirt today. I've taken the responsibility of taking orders. This is something that our board felt strongly that we should have a uniform shirt for every member of the club. You don't have to have it, but we would strongly encourage it. Place orders with me. This is the color we're going for. I can get you other colors too. We'd like to have this color. And they are available in men's and women's sizes. $24 up to extra large. For those of us who are ample dimensions, $28. So place your orders with me. Maybe at least a few weeks before they come in. But I think they'll be very helpful for our recruiting efforts and our identity within the community. So get your orders into me and yeah. So please welcome President Kelly.
Thanks, Tom. How many weeks have we been months? We've been here. I look up here, notice this every time I'm gonna pick it up. A little dirt from those air guns. I don't know what people do to them out here. Apparently, this may lead us to some conclusions. But this is literally been here since January. Find somebody. I will. Yeah, I feel like I knew that is. All right, so lots to do this morning. I'm going to have service learning come up and get us started. So, Jamie, if you want to join us, Brittany. All about you.
My pretty obvious is we don't know, I'm one of the teachers for this. Also, and our kids are a month out from graduation. So as exciting as that is, we actually, it means we don't have as many updates for you today as we normally do. Although next week, our kids will be going on our annual service learning trip. So we will be at Camp Ledgewood, which is the Girl Scout camp that we often work with. And from there, our students will be serving in a variety of areas around a variety of places around the community. I know we're working at CVNP, actually, we have a few kids who are volunteering there. I know we have a student from CVNP here today, sorry. But our kids will also be working with Heritage Preserve, which is in Akron. We'll be doing a few various like beautification projects in North Hill, which is a community that we've worked with for a few years now. Really after we had to shift our whole Southern Ohio service trip. And yeah, we're looking forward to your bowling. We just got a karaoke machine, so this could be interesting. I don't know exactly how. And we're just looking forward to giving our kids like a really good chance to give back to the broader community that they've been giving back to all year. And hopefully from there, they'll just keep going and then they'll graduate. So we're super excited for that. And today I have the pleasure of introducing one of those very wonderful students. This is going to be Liz Brown, who's going to be coming up to talk to you here momentarily. I just met her this year, but she's always been sweet. She's a really bright smile, like whichever she comes in the room. She's currently having right now, but she has been at, and she'll tell you a little bit more, but she's been at Maplewood and she's currently at Eastwoods with Eder. And we're super excited to see where she goes from here.
Hi, I'm Libby Thomas, and I was at Brandywine last semester, like this semester. So it's kind of a big jump in the states. At Brandywine was really exploring things. I lived there, it's pretty fast. Yeah, but right now I'm in psychology at university, and sorry, with psychology, I either want to do criminal psychology or basic psychology. Some people
Morning, Rotarians. Jamie Hudson, one of the other service teachers. We've also got Barney Buck and Gina Bongo. We've met all of us many times, but I think it's always good to remind you there's four of us, it's not just two of us that kind of have to take this piece of service learning on. Rotary is awesome, and she one of the things I think she doesn't give herself enough credit for is the compassion that she had when she was at Maplewood working with people with dementia. She really has. I know it's not where she's going to end up in her field, but it's compassion that a lot of people don't have naturally. In terms of English, so I know Rotarians love and talk to our students, and so we are actually setting up, and a lot of you have done this over the last few years, where you come in and you talk with a small group of our students, and it's awesome. It's our kids have that packet of just kind of that. It's like being open to your future is kind of how we frame it with them. They do those readings, and a lot of you have done those readings, and it's just a chance to for you to share some of that wealth of experience that you have. Because really, at this point, they've gone through 12 years of schooling. A lot of these students have been in Hudson all 12 years, and so they've got a really solid education. A lot of times, it's kind of like, what's that track look like? Where is that? As so many know, a lot of times it's not where you think you should go. That doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily where you should go or where you should end up. So we look forward to those conversations because hopefully it helps them realize that there are maybe like there is a different option or maybe multiple options of places they can go. Quite frankly, with the world changing as fast as it is with everything, there's jobs that don't necessarily exist that will be high demand by the time you graduate. Maybe even in a month, maybe even a month from now. So it's awesome to get your experience and be able to share that with them. So we are going to schedule that for, we do have that scheduled for May 9th, which is a Friday. I'll send that out to Ellie and to, I just lost your name, Marilyn, or, I'm so sorry. So I'll send that out to Ellie and Marilyn, and we'll get that sign up schedule out for you. For anybody who's interested, we got Friday, May 9th, it'll be about 10:30, 10:45 or so. And then we'll invite you to stay for lunch. Our students will decide to join that lunch. We'll provide that for you. We think it's such a valuable experience for our students, and we hope you enjoy doing it as well. I'm also going to introduce our second student. So this is Olivia Otis is going to come up. And one of the things I think is so special about Olivia is she's got a real knack for working with kids. And she did that first semester in Akron, in a special needs classroom in a really challenging school. And instead of like pushing away or like being scared by it, she dove right in. We heard from her teacher, she's one of the best she's ever had working with her before. And so this semester, we rarely do this, but we've been really honing in on education. We decided to pair her up with one of the best teachers in the Hudson City School District, Morale, where she's continued this. I think she's going to be an awesome teacher down the road. And maybe someday she ends up in the area, she'll be hosting service next to herself.
Hello. Yeah, so I've had a really great experience with service learning. I'm really glad that I was put in classrooms both times because I've always known that I want to be a teacher, and I got to have two very different experiences, like in Akron and in Hudson. So my experience in Akron was really great. I got to work with fifth graders who have learning disabilities, and I was in a classroom with a teacher who was really, really great for kids, and she was really inspiring me and like being alive. Definitely not going to in my life. That's been very beneficial to get to work now, and I don't have like any doubt that I understand how to do that. I definitely be working in the future. In Akron, the kids came from very different backgrounds than a lot of kids. So that was really cool getting to work with them and getting to build those connections with them. And I learned that I really like working with kids who have disabilities. So that may be something that I want to look into. And then my new site in Hudson was also really great. I know second graders, so they're a lot better and it's a lot faster paced. And I got to learn a lot more about the organization and the behind the scenes work that goes into being a teacher. Definitely official in what's the back of the teacher. So yeah, I think it was my
Thank you guys, thank you everyone again, and I think we have one more meeting this year, so we'll see you guys then.
And also for all Rotary. So, go. Thanks, guys. And I believe we are ready for flying day. You've had flying day in quite a while. So Mr. Morse is going to come up and fill the callers. Looks like he's got props. We got a tan too. Good morning. Good morning, Rotarians. All right. Ron told me to keep it short, so I'm going to keep it really short and just say, everybody, I need $5. Okay, we can do it that way. Or more importantly, first of all, you can grab your wallets, grab them out there, and what we do need is, first of all, pins and badges, of course those. And no, you keep your wallet at the same time. So I need it. So pins and badges. How about a buck for? What we're gonna do here? We're gonna do a slightly different. Okay. Because I want to do it real quickly. So I need you to count out by 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. And then over there, 1, 2, 3. We're not going to use Eugene. Don't worry about that. Ben, you're number 3. And then Doug, you're 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. Okay. We keep going. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 over here. You guys count off 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. I need all 3 to stand up now with $1 in your hand. Okay. All those 3 stand up. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Catherine, you're probably 3. Okay. I understand that. No, you need to stand up. You're at 3. Okay. And what do we got over here? Maryland, you're 3. Okay. Now, all those 3 standing up, you need $1 in your hand. And secondly, I also need to hear what your good news is. Since we haven't been doing this for a few. I'll start with the good news. And one of the things I'll say is that commission's been gone, obviously, for the last 3 weeks. I apologize for not being able to pull in, but what I did do is we did a great tour to watch volleyball for my granddaughter, and more importantly, 2 weeks ago, I ran the half marathon, and I came in second. Okay, so the 4-way test, is it the truth? The answer is yes, it is the truth. Is it very all concerned? Yes, it's very all concerned. Was it the full truth? No. So a second in my age group, of which, yes, there were only 2 runners. But I still got the plaque to prove for it. So, good news.
Well, I mean, something a lot of people don't know, I don't know what the golf course is. I happen to be the club champion in every one of them, so that's my good news.
Wow. Let's go back to is it the truth? Okay. All right. So
Who's next?
who's my next number? My number 3 over there.
Not as a one. Ben's got.
Okay. Oh, by the way, we haven't said happy birthday yet either, so don't steal that one, Doug.
My granddaughter is graduating from the township this year, at Indiana University of Indiana.
Fantastic.
They can help me marry that.
So did you put it up? You put it up? I didn't see that. But you, okay.
All right. Prayer. My granddaughter is a Miami of Ohio. She's surfer. She was a really good basketball player. So, and she decided she didn't want that. This year she got it. So she could talk to the coach. They would follow her records and he was picking her on in the wall. So she's going to play basketball playing. Wow. Nice.
Walk on student, walk on is good. All right.
My grandson, Gavin Ginther, was Orpheus in Hadestown, the play that was over the weekend. And he had 3 nights, went to see it all 3 nights, and there was a great crowd. And if you haven't had an opportunity to watch some of these performances, look at the school website, see when they're on. These kids do a fabulous job. The other thing that's coming up in May is the end of the year concerts for our music groups. and, looking again at the school's website to participate in that. But, Gavin did inherit all of his acting talent from his grandfather on the other side.
Definitely worth a walk on that one.
That play was amazing.
I'm gonna brag on a grandchild as well. Last week, my granddaughter Margaret received a summer grant to actually do some work in art history at an abbey in southeast France. She's going to get to stay overnight with our reliquary there, but for someone who's just a sophomore, we're really proud. She attended the University of Puget Sound.
Super cool. Jumping on this grandparent thing, so we have 7 grandchildren. And we had a 1-week window last week where there were ages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it's kind of.
So did you want to pay $1 for each one of those grandchildren?
Okay, 16 years ago, my husband died, so I had a date, and last week I went on a hiking date.
Whoa.
So, first of all, the play was amazing, except whenever that orpheus was on, some guy just would get up and start clapping and yelling. Yeah, anyway, both with my youngest daughter, who was a high school teacher at an inner city school in New York City, had no idea she was going to teach and ended up there. Right? Trust me. Anyway, so she got her review. I knew she would do well, but she got a really good, in class observation. And so she's very excited about that. Then they were on vacation, so she was traveling and got a call from her superintendent of her building in Brooklyn saying that someone had broken in and ransacked her room. She called Marie, and I said, well, finish your vacation, go back, see what it was. Turns out, yeah, then they said, well, no one took it, her computer, everything was there. So she went in, and it turned out the door was open, so trying to figure that out, but she wasn't ransacked. That's just the way she kept her room. But anyway, yes, she did that. But anyway, she was sort of like fighting the wall. She was so happy that she did that. Perfect. Perfect.
And just on the 26th at Camp Meditown, we're going to be trying to reintroduce chestnut trees to the Ohio area. Those of you who know the history, the American chestnut trees, there was a blight in the 1920s that wiped out all the American chestnut trees here. So these are hybrid chestnuts that we're trying to reintroduce because those would have been the primary tree that would have been in this area back in the early 1900s.
Fantastic. Here's $1 for making sure that you can grow one for the cattle. All right. It's just going to take a few years. Anybody else? Oh, yeah, exactly. We're no longer. So, Pat, thank you kindly for getting up and sharing. Kyle came in just before me, so he was actually pretty much the last person in. I can't really ding him for $1, but I know I can ding you for $1. And Mimi, I was looking at the Hudson Hub. I tried to find something in the last 3 weeks of the Hudson Hub. I couldn't find anything, but what I did see was a group of people down the, I don't know which floor it is, having a wonderful cocktail hour on a Friday or something like that. And they were all there having the wine and everything like that. I did not see you in that picture, and I definitely didn't see your kid. So I know you wanted to chip in on that. And more importantly, I see your pin now, but it wasn't in the picture. So I know that's the reason. And then more importantly, let's see, Jamie, you somehow you're a guest, but you're not a guest. And so therefore, because of the fact that you couldn't remember Marilyn's name, that's gotta be worth $1 because I'm giving you names. So bring up $1. If you don't have $1, ask that whole row, maybe somebody will share. I'll pay it for it. Okay, David Basil will pay for you. Never mind, that's here. And somehow Kelly, because you got first billing instead of that's $1 too.
Birthday people, I know Doug, you're a birthday boy. Who else is a birthday boy? Or girl? Or girl? Birthday boy, girl? I don't have the list here. Yeah, that's right, James, you were too. So stand up so we can say happy birthday to you, but make sure you have that dollar in your hand. Yeah, I know. All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. Fantastic. As long as we're talking about birthdays, no birthday will be good. Without a bottle of wine. So, all of those who have donated their wine, stand up. All of those who paid the $20, stand up for the same thing. All of those who are still sitting down, you can either pay your $20 right now, in which case you don't have to pay the dollar, or you can just pay the dollar right now. So it's a good cause, it's all part of our fantastic meal. So we do need to drink more wine. So with that, has everybody been fleeced? No, who hasn't been fleeced? Okay. Okay, well, thank you kindly. Sorry. And Keith, I'm not sure why, but you know, you're getting dinged again too. And with that, I turn it over. Looks like I got all right. Oh, here. Gonna toss it out of the mic. Why is that? I say perfect attendance. Actually, you're gonna introduce our list. Just introduce our speaker. Oh.
Long agenda, so really, it's my pleasure this morning to introduce Kathy Robb, which is actually the city Kathy song. She's been a long time, born date of the board, used to know Ohio, volunteered, I think, since 2007. Got a lot of responsibilities at our national park. She is going to tell us a little bit about the history and a lot about the opportunities that might not know about that are hidden gem in our backyard. So, Kathy, welcome to our meeting.
Well, I'm happy to come up Andy on his award for his race. I ran a race several years ago and a small race, thank goodness. I was the second last person to cross the finish line. My daughter let me go first. She was limping as she crossed. And I got back to the barn and I won first place for my age group. So obviously, there wasn't anybody else in the race. So just thought I'd want to. So I want to thank you for allowing me to speak today. Yeah, I guess I'll try to do that. We'll see how that goes. I actually know the notes. So we'll try that. So, as Julie said, I have been a volunteer at $5 in 2007. I was working at the time, so I could only really do this on weekends. So I was doing adopt the trail, which means I went out with a tool and cleaned off some of the trails in the park so that they were accessible and better off for everybody that come to visit. I've done read with the ranger at local schools. Okay, I've done read with the preschoolers and first and second graders. I appreciate those young ladies who go to those schools because they're not all as well able to be over and went to school. I've been on the speakers bureau now for a couple of years, but this is really only my third or fourth talk, so bear with me on this. Most of the time I volunteer at the Boston Health Visitor Center and I give corrections and suggestions to people coming in, and I listen to them and talk to them, and I bring the happiness to them and me. So I've been asked to provide information about the park, the history, some of the facts, and how you personally and your organization help the park. So what makes a park valuable? So valuable is defined as a thing of great worth. It can be a possession, a person, a place, or a time. At the end of this talk, I hope you find Cuyahoga Valley Place valuable to you and to your group. So, slide 4, I have this. So the first national park was established in 1872 by the Wilson Grant and Cuyahoga Valley National Park. President Theodore Roosevelt was the most prolific park advocate. He set aside over 230 million acres in 1901 and 1909. There are 433 national park sites, 63 are parks. The rest are the battlefield sites, seashores. Now, this is not a national forest, but it's the closest I can come. National forests, then there's memorials, parkways, monuments, rivers, and other sites that are important to our area. The Cuyahoga River was first used by the American Indians as a food source and transportation. Cuyahoga, if you don't already know this, is an Indian word that means river. The river starts in the northeast over by Burton. It goes south to the Continental Divide in Akron. I didn't know there was one there, but apparently there is. And it couldn't get over that hump, so it turned around and goes north. So the section that's here is traveled north. Prior to the park being established, the Ohio River Canal was designated as a national historic site in 1966. And that event really struck some interest in this area because everybody wanted to see the national historic site. And there really wasn't any here for them to visit other than a canal, which at that point wasn't really coming back. So why is this park designated park? Why was this area designated park? So in the earlier years of this company, I have this title, Water on Fire. Several rivers across the U.S. were catching fire due to large amounts of industrial waste being dumped. In 1968, the Buffalo River caught fire. Then in 1969, the Rouge River in Detroit. Fires were so frequent in Chicago, they became community events, so people jumping on the ridges and watching the fires burn. In June of '69, there was a small fire on the Cuyahoga River in the Cleveland area. It was small enough that no pictures were taken. This picture on the slide is from I kept doing research on this, and there were 2 different dates. One was 1952 and one was 1957. So maybe it was 1975. I don't know. It was in here. And it was the Cuyahoga River caught fire at least 13 times, with the first one being 1868. The mayor of Cleveland at the time of the '69 fire was Carl Stokes. He made sure that the '69 fire, even though it was small, made national news by inviting several news agencies to Cleveland. Also, in August of 1969, Time magazine placed this picture on the cover of their August 1st issue. This article discussed the negative effects that industry countrywide was having on our rivers and lakes. It was the same issue that they had an expose of Chappaquiddick incidents involving the Kennedy family. I am assuming the majority of the people in here remember what Chappaquiddick was all about. So lots of people bought that magazine. It sparked a very big interest in cleaning up rivers and lakes. In 1971, Congressman John Seiberling first proposed the Ohio Area Canal and Cuyahoga Valley Recreation Development Act, LOWRAT. The bill failed to pass as Congress questioned the level of public support for a park. Congressman John Seiberling and Ralph Regula were instrumental in finally getting passed legislation to create national recreation area. They work together to bring people with influence to the park to show them the valley and the beauty of the area. It was originally created to protect and preserve the 22 miles of the 100 miles of the Cuyahoga River. Our park was one of the first parks to the people, so that all people, even in the urban areas, have access to the park. Prior to our park, you had to drive to Utah, Wyoming, or California to go see a national park. In March and June of '74, park advocates testified before this House subcommittees on National Parks and Recreation, supported the bill to create this area. And then, of course, on December 27, 1974, President Gerald Ford signed the legislation creating our park. The legislation designated 32,000 acres to be purchased for the park. Congress originally issued, or authorized, I should say, $34.5 million to purchase the land over a 5-year period. However, by 1980, only 60% of the land had been acquired, and the cost was more than $42 million. In late 1980, policies changed and the park stopped buying land that was not needed for park purposes. Up to that time, there was only 14,400 acres purchased at amount of 78. The park is currently made up of almost 33,000 acres, but its ownership is a little bit not what you would think. The federal land is only 19,000 acres. Non-federal land is a little over 13,000. The non-federal acres also include parts of Summit and Cleveland Metro Parks, where we co-manage those sections. Sections with 50 block quarry and Bedford reservations, 2 sides for sure, but there's other sections. When in 2000, Congressman Ronald Reagan helped to get legislation passed to make the name change from Cuyahoga Valley National Recreation Area to Cuyahoga Valley National Park. The difference between a park and a recreation area is that a park is designated to protect areas of stunning natural beauty, unique geological features, and diverse ecosystems. We have wetlands, rivers, forests, rock formations by the glaciers. Recreation area preserves and chance recreational opportunities. An example would be Beaver Marsh, Colorado River. So we are more of a park than a recreation area. I am assuming that most people in this room have been to National Park in our area. If you haven't, I hope you go, because it's a beautiful place, it's very quiet and pristine, and there's a lot of different things to do. It all accessible. Every company I work for has a mission, a purpose statement, and I'm sure that's true for every company that you work for. The park is no different. Purpose statement for Cuyahoga Valley is to preserve and protect for public use and enjoyment. The hysteric, it could be hysteric on many, many ways. Historic, scenic, natural, and recreational values of the Cuyahoga River and its valley, to maintain the necessary recreational open space in connection with the urban environment, and to provide for the recreational, educational needs of the visiting public. We have a education center where we bring students where they can stay overnight, and then they get instructions on land management, ecosystems, and stuff like that. The original Clean Water Act was enacted in 1948, but was significantly reorganized in 1972. I have pictures. So I'm going to start talking about what this park looked like in 1974 when we took it over. These pictures, they kind of go together. One is a large view and one is up close so you can tell what the large view is. This is just one of the things that we found in this park when we took it over in 1974. So feel free to pass it around so everybody gets to see it. And once it's all done, we can talk, let me know, and we can talk about where that location is and what it means, what it looks like now. So when the park took over the property in 74, the river had few if any fish. Since then, the river has been cleaned enough so that catfish, lake fish, bottom feeder, it's called the northern fox sucker. It only comes to Clean River, has been seen in the river, along with trout, bluegills, bass, and other fish. We have a canal that was built in the 1800s to transport goods between Cleveland Lake, between Lake Erie and the Ohio River, plus also if it goes up to Lake Erie, it gets on a board barge and gets over to New York. The section between Akron and Cleveland was hand-built in 2 years, 1825 and 1827. Our 20th president, James Garfield, worked on the canal when he was young. He was a canal boat driver between 1847 and 1850. Before the canal, Ohio was a pretty poor state. We were we had no major industries and we couldn't support our government. Within a few years after the canal was completed, Ohio was the 8th richest state. We were transporting lumber, coal, cotton, cheese, cloth, and other products to the areas that were unreachable for the canal. There are 44 locks between Cleveland and Akron, and a total of 146 locks along the entire route to help the canal boats get over the humps along the way. The canal was also part of the Underground Railroad. We would pick up the state slaves in the Ohio River. They would hide them on their boats because Ohio, even though it was a free state, they did allow slave catchers to come in and take back their slaves. So we would hide them, bring them up the canal, and they would get up to Lake Erie and beyond. Because of the canal, we have a towpath, originally used by mules and horses, now by hikers and bikers. The towpath is currently 101 miles long. Feel free to ride the entire route. You'll be going between Cleveland and Tuscarawas County. I have done the entire route, and I have done it in very short pieces. I certainly could never do 101 miles at one time. If you want more information on the canal, visit the Canal Exploration Center in north of the park. Check for visitor times, because right now they're not open, but they will be shortly. And sometimes they only open on Wednesday through Sunday. However, the Exploration Center explains why the canal was built, how it was built, what it cost, how the people lived on the boats. People would sell everything they had and buy a canal boat and live on it, raise their kids on it. And it also shows the other canals in Ohio. They're the only canal in the state of Ohio. There's one over by Miami, by the Bowling Green area, that comes down, and then there were connecting canals. Of course, the canal disappeared in 1913 when we had a very, very large flood, and the state who owned the canals decided it wasn't worth the money to replace it and fix it. By that time, of course, the trains had come in and there was a canal. We have a marsh. If you go to the next slide. There, oh, fantastic. All right, not a great picture. All right, I don't know that. We have a marsh that was once an auto repair shop and junkyard. It now houses beavers, river otters, muskrats, snapping turtles, and is a very popular bird migration route in spring and fall. We have a meadow that was once a dumping ground for industrial and municipal waste. Some of the contributing trash came from Ford, General Motors, Chrysler, 3M, Waste Management, and others. These companies were sued by the federal government to recoup some of the costs to reclaim the meadow. The area became a Superfund site, now clean because of abundance of life. There should be a picture of it. Here's the meadow. That's Beaver Marsh. The park employees found a section of the river south of Red Lock, which is the pictures I'm passing around, where the owner was using old cars to stabilize his bank. So all of those things in that water, this gentleman and his son, teenage son, drive these cars into the river this way, so that as the river came around then, it didn't take out more of his land. I mean, for obvious reasons, he was paying taxes on that land, and every time there was a storm, it would wipe out the bend, and then he'd lose land, but it was still taxes on it. So this was his solution to fixing that problem. Now that field, all of that, that's by Jake Paper Mill, if anybody is familiar with where that might be, it is south of the Red Lock and Bond Road access. And, they had a lot of equipment in there, because it was a paper mill, all that has been removed, and the land has been restored to its prior natural state. Cuyahoga Valley has close to 33,000 acres that contain at least 943 different plant species, at least 250 different bird species. Is everyone familiar with the Eagle's Nest Station Park? If you aren't, it's very easy to get to here. But I didn't have a picture other than that. So yeah, we get a her instead of an eagle. But that nest was built in 2006. When that nest was first populated, that area was Heron Rotary, and the eagles moved in. Herons didn't like the eagles coming in, so they all moved. But the year that they did this was 2006. If you were down there, and I was several times, the herons made a huge racket. Sounded like a B-rated science fiction movie, because it was just terrible that eagles moving in and just didn't. But that eagle's nest, since 2006, those eagles that have been in that nest have raised 21 eagles that have been hatched and fledged just from that nesting. There's 41 different mammal species, moose, minks, bats, there's small mammals, and of course, deer and fox. There's 20 different species of turtles, snakes, other reptiles. There's 11 different species of amphibians, frogs, salamanders. Unfortunately or fortunately, there's no bears. We do have some visitors in the winter that come in and take a nap, and then they get up in the spring and move back to usually pleasant. There are 125 miles of hiking trails, some of which are ADA accessible. Yes, again, I hiked them all, but it did take me an entire summer to do it. And that's one of my favorites. Anyone know where that is? Ledges. That's a great trail. We have the second tallest waterfall in Ohio at over 60 feet, and that's of course Brandywine Falls. The tallest in Ohio is in the Hen Hills area. Hen Falls is a short waterfall in the woods, which I really, really like. It's a little difficult to get there, so you have to hike. It's a mile and a half, which is a 3-mile round trip then, and there are over 150 stairs to climb both directions. So it's a little more difficult, but it's in my personal opinion, I like it better. It's prettier. So Cuyahoga Valley is very, very popular. We consistently get over 2 million visitors a year. In 2020, we had over 2.75 million visitors, placing us number 7 in the most visited national parks that year. Of course, that was a pandemic year where we were told to get outdoors and not travel. And countrywide, the parks visitation was down 87% that year. In 2022, we came in 9th, was 2.9 million. And in 2023, we had 2.86 million, and we were 12th in the system. Lots of people come through this park. Of course, a lot of those visitors, like me, frequent the park regularly, as I assume a lot of you do too. But I have spoken with people from Canada, Italy, France, India, China, Germany, England, Australia, Scotland, all 50 states, including Hawaii, and I'm sure there's other countries there. People come from all over the world to see our park. And yet, as I mentioned to someone this morning, people came in from Strongsville and didn't even know a national park existed in the state. We still get local people that don't know we have a national park in our backyard. The park has been through many, many changes these past 50 years. We strive to be a park that is used, not just in winter. So there's many, many things to do in the park. Of course, there's hiking. And at this time of the year, if you're able, if you hike it down by Furnace Run, you might see a fabulous bluebell show. The bluebells come out on Furnace Run and they cover the hillsides. Absolutely beautiful. It's a little bit of a rough trail. There is a flat trail section of the trail that anybody can walk that will also have bluebells. Not quite as many as on the more rugged trail. Of course, there's running and biking, and there's train rides. But did you know, and you can kayak in the river now, it's clean enough to do that. But did you know that you can take your bike and kayak on the train, ride the rails one way, and then bike back or look down the river the other way? If you take the train from Independence all the way to Akron to disembark, if you're on your bike, you will ride back 26 miles. Great way to spend the car. But make sure when you get on the train, you get on the north side and get off in Akron. Because, and back to that Continental Divide, which is in Akron, Akron is much higher. So if you do it that way, you get off the train in Akron, it's kind of downhill all the way back. So it's a pretty nice ride. And the first mile, you hardly have to pedal. It's quite nice. The entrance to the towpath from the Akron Northside train station to the towpath has changed. It is now a safe off-road trail. Instead of the ride down the hill, crossing 4 lanes of traffic, without brakes, quite a ride, if we're going to have to talk about it today, this time, down this hill, against the lake. No brakes, it's quite fun. We have fishing. This particular picture is at Kendall Lake. And this past summer, my 9-year-old grandson came in, loved to fish. First thing where I heard was fish, so we took him to Kendall Lake. And I know this sounds like an exaggeration, but I counted. In the first hour, he caught 20 little blue, they were little bluegills, but for a 9-year-old, he was. So 20 under an hour. So there are fish. We also do snowshoeing and cross-country skiing in winter. The interesting thing is if you don't own snowshoes, which I don't, and there's enough snow, you can go to the Boston Visitor Center and rent a pair for free. You can also rent a pair, I shouldn't say rent when you're not renting them, you're borrowing them. You can borrow hiking poles. And it's all free as long as you put it back. There are multiple programs that are designed for families. There are free concerts at Hot Meadow in the summer. There's at least 3 or 4 of every summer. There's family days where we invite anybody that wants to come to a specific location in the park. It has typically been at Kendall Lake, and they do hiking and fishing. They show the kids how to fish. There's some other things, games, and of course, walks in the woods. You go ghost walks in October, by the plateau section of the ledges. We walk in the woods with families and we try to scare them. It's quite fun. There's always ranger talks and walks. And then there's junior ranger activities for your grandchildren and your children and yourself if you want to do them. Many adults come in and get. And of course, this does cost some money, but there's concerts at Happy Days Lodge. If you want to get involved in the park, besides just enjoying the area, you can donate, of course, to the Conservancy for Cuyahoga Valley National Park, which is the Parks Friends Group, or you can volunteer. As of 2023, the park is home to over 5,000 volunteers who give over 100 total together, 100,000 hours a year in volunteer hours. They do everything that you can imagine that people can do. There are people in the office that do office work as volunteers. There's people that plant trees, pull the vases, volunteer at the visitor center like I do. Read with the ranger programs. I know that the 2 young ladies here, the one that's going to be a teacher. We go into underserved schools in Akron and Cleveland, and we read a story to the children and tell them about the park. There's Adopt a Trail, where you clean the trails with a group of people, become your friends, and they do provide tools. There's train volunteers who ride the rails, help people on the trains. And then there's a couple of that I really like. One is cycling schools. Have anybody here heard of cycling schools? It's a nonprofit organization, not funded by the park, and 100% run by volunteers. In May and October, they take school groups on 10-mile walk rides. We ride out 5 miles from, it's right around by Boston Visitor Center. It's in that area. There's a farm that has, or garage, I should say, that has over 100 bicycles and helmets. We ride out 5 miles, we give them a snack, we turn around, we ride back, and then we provide them lunch, which is typically hot dog and stuff. But it is completely and totally run by volunteers. And one of my favorites is Frog Watch. Frog Watch is a national database site where all over the country we're tracking what kinds of frogs are in what areas, because frogs indicate water quality. If you have a lot of frogs, you have good quality water. So what you do, go to a selected, and what you do is you go to a selected spot in the park and you listen for frog calls. You commit to once a month from February to August. And when you identify the frog by their calls, you enter it into a national database. In Northeast Ohio, there are 11 different species of frogs. And the location that I go to, get 8 of them. You can identify them by sight, but mostly by sound. Every frog species makes a different noise. And this is one of the questions that I found out. Did you know that it is primarily only male frogs that call? Females very rarely make sound, which of course is kind of actually, but mostly it's the males that call. And then, of course, we can always organize a group project for your group specifically and what you would like to do in the park as a group. Whether it's plant trees, pick up trash, clean a trail, pull invasives, a lot of different things you can coordinate with. So I have talked a lot about this park, and I wanted to know at this point if you have any questions. One of the things they're going to do to celebrate, well, a couple of things they're going to do to celebrate 50 years of the park. They're going to be having some special programs. Blossom Music Center is going to have a special night in August to celebrate the park. We do own property where Blossom Music Center is, but we do not run the programs. That is run by the orchestra. The train also, we own the National Park owns the tracks. We do not own the train stop. And next weekend, not this weekend, it's Easter, but the next 2 weekends, we're going to have Steam in the Valley. And I think you can buy tickets if you want to ride one of the steam trains. However, I find that going to a location, watching them and listening to them is much more exciting. One year we went down, like Jeff loves steam trains. So we went to watch one come in through Rockside. And he didn't know I was doing this. I recorded the sound of the steam train and I took his phone and I made it a ringtone. So the first time his phone rang and it was this steam train, he was like, we were at home and he was like, what the heck is that? I mean, he knew what it was, he didn't know where it was coming from in the house. And he never wants me to change it. He loves it. So every time his phone rings, we get here's the steam train. There's going to be, the park has 50th anniversary stickers that they're handing out, also different events. And if you worked, does anybody who worked at the park as a paid employee, not a volunteer? Okay, they're going to have an alumni picnic this year for them. They always have a volunteer picnic for people that need the alumni requirements. And there's going to be more information on the 50th year Park and Parks website or the Conservancy's Cuyahoga Valley's website. That website is where I get a lot of my information. There's a lot of history on the National Park website. It's just NPS.org, and then you type in Cuyahoga Valley.
Yes, we all know that there's been significant cuts in the federal government to the national parks. So could you tell us what we can do to help Cuyahoga Valley National volunteer?
There have been some cuts. I personally cannot speak to the government and how they're running anything. It's just not my area of expertise. I do know that they are bringing back some of the seasonal employees. We have a lot because in the winter we don't do as much as we do in the summer. So we have a lot of seasonal employees that come in the summer. I don't know how many of those are going to come back. I know some of them don't. So what I know, I do have a name and a phone number. If anybody is interested in that information, I would more than happy to share it with you. She's our public information specialist, and that's Anna Barnes. So I would love to talk about this, but I, in my capacity, as a volunteer, but you certainly can volunteer and ask them, give them your skills set, and I'm sure they will find something for you. Yes. There is a lot of different ways to track it. One way is when they come into the visitor center, we have a clicker, we count everybody that comes in. When we have a program, we count everybody in programs. I'm supposed to be counting everybody here on desk because I have this. But they also have cameras, I guess, some kind of a counter that is, if you walk by it, it'll count you. And then they take these numbers and they don't use them, like a car comes in, how many people are in that car? There are ways for them to do an average. So they don't actually do this. Because we are a free park, we are one of the few free parks. We don't have an entrance fee. So if the parks have entrance fees, it's pretty easy to count people, and ours it isn't. But we do get a really good number with the ways that they do it. We track people going to different trails and multiple see the laser, whatever they're called, the counters that you walk by and count. We have a couple of trails in the park that become social trails. That means it's not an official park trail. It is the trail that people have just made for end of that trail. Some of those things are on private land, so we can't promote them, but they put a counter there to see how many people. Thank you. Anybody else?
What question is on the Cuyahoga Falls game?
The Cuyahoga Falls game is not part of the park, so unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that. I know we took out the River Dam in Brecksville. I know that they're trying to restock the fish. There's a fish, some type of fish, I don't know the name that I just saw. That they're putting back minerals into Cuyahoga River back in. I think it's some type of trout. And the park wasn't sure because it's not a native fish, but it is a very popular fish for fishing. So the plan is that they will get big and then come to the river up and then go out to the lake and then we fish for them. But it's a fish that we don't have the right type of land or river ability to water whatever. The water is too warm for them to actually spawn and create new fish. So they're really not a threat because they can't just fish. Thank you. Oh, I did leave in the back two things. Some of you may have already picked them up. One was the Valley Guide. I don't remember And then there's a card that talks about volunteering and information. And if, did anybody have questions about those pictures? They're annoying. I mean, really, if you think about 1969, I don't know how many people lived in this area then. I was young, but I was here. And who knew that this stuff was going on? And they just dumped, thought it was okay. And obviously those cars did not go in without the engines. So they went in like this, the engines were down here, water is going right through those engines. You can see why and how this river became so. It's a tragedy, but one to get fixed.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, Rotary, pay out $8, jackpot 229. And the winner, 3372. 72. Winner, 3372. Ralph, fantastic. I'll talk to you, my friend. All right, so the jackpot continues. And we will finish this out with useless facts. Okay. First movie ever to put out a motion picture soundtrack was, anybody gonna guess? Some of the ones kind of close. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The soundtrack was the first issued as a collection of Victor 378 RPM singles. Each single became a top 10 hit simultaneously in 1938. So there's your first soundtrack. And everyone have a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll see everybody here next Wednesday. We are adjourned.